gentlemen, welcome aboard the Athletics Can't Wait Jets podcast, your nonstop shop for all things Jets. Now here are your hosts, Tim McMaster and Connor Hughes. Listen safely.
Can't wait.
This episode of Can't Wait, presented by BetMGM, the exclusive betting partner of The Athletic, now available in New York. You don't have to take the train to Hoboken or Jersey City to place your bets anymore. Do it right in New York. Place your first bet of $10 on any football game with BetMGM. There's only one left, and win $200 regardless of the outcome of your bet. Just sign up using the bonus code AthleticNY. Tim McMaster here, along with Connor Hughes and Marissa Morris. Connor joining us from his hotel room in beautiful Mobile, Alabama. He's covering the Senior Bowl workouts down there. He swears he is not playing golf. You decide.
I haven't had a chance.
He's been too busy working hard.
Yeah, that's not the by choice. I mean, I wanted to. I scouted out the courses. I actually have a golf outfit here. Like I fully planned on playing around a golf. The Jets gave us extra access throughout the course of the week because their coaching staff was coaching it. So we were all the beat writers were here. So we got extra access. And unfortunately, when they scheduled all their extra access, it was like 3:30. So my whole little workcation, I wasn't able to turn into that. I had the player access, go watch practice, and maybe I can get 18 holes in. And no, that didn't happen. So unfortunately, yeah, I've been working all this. I mean, that kind of stinks, doesn't it?
Connor Hughes, working man.
You have a rough life, Connor.
It's tough. It's tough. We're going to talk about the Senior Bowl. We're going to talk about Mekhi Becton and Robert Saleh's comments this week down there in Mobile. We're also going to talk about the changes in the quarterback room, some people out, some people moving on up there as well. So a lot to get to. But Connor, I got to start here because, you're down in Mobile. There's all these prospects, draft prospects. I'm sure you've spent some time talking to Dane Brugler down there. And now suddenly
got his number finally.
You feel like
Dane and I are texting buddies now.
Yeah, and you feel like you're a scout now, right?
Oh, I'm done.
Here's the thing, though. Yeah. Dane doesn't base his scouting reports on style of face mask. I think you have a ways to go.
He should. No, I was texting him yesterday. So I usually Slack Dane. So finally I was like, why the hell am I keep slacking? Give me your number. So we were texting and
I'm really sorry for Dane now that Connor has Dane's number.
Welcome up. Hey bud. Welcome. Yeah. What's this guy? No, I was like, dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. I said the same thing to Joe though. I told this to Joe Douglas when I saw him. I walked up, I was like, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I was like, and I said the same thing to Dane, said the same thing to Joe, and I saw Rex Hogan as well. So the same thing to them. I was like, I'm just gonna be honest with you guys, man. I've got this scouting thing down. I've got it. I really don't think it's that hard. I think you guys are overcomplicating this. And Joe looked at me, he's like, what? I was like, yeah, I'm telling you, I got it. I figured it out. I was like, you guys all have your systems, right? Like your some guys go with numbers, like an 8.0 grade and a scouting thing. And then he's looking at this, you're looking at that. Okay, where does this player rank within his position group of care and everything? I was like, throw all of that shit out. Take that and throw it out. This is how the Connor system works. Because this is my own scouting thing. This is the Connor system. You find the player and you look at him. And I'll give you a perfect example. It was this kid on the team that the Jets were coaching, this center. Didn't even need to know his name. Don't need to know his name. He's going to be the center for me. I do have a fucking roster around here somewhere. You have to find it. Like I'm a disaster.
And the rule when we talk about prospects, which we've been doing on my other podcast this week, is position and school. So our audience can get to learn these prospects. So
you don't need to know this kid's position in school. I'm walking off the field to go because the Jets made Saleh available on I think it was Tuesday, and Wednesday. I'm sorry. Tuesday. Was Tuesday the first practice? Yeah, because I flew on Monday. Tuesday. So Tuesday's first practice, walking off the field, and I see this offensive lineman in individual drills. Everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, I know he's about to talk about Trevor Penning, right? Like that's what he's not talking about. Trevor Penning. Trevor Penning didn't get a good grade.
We will talk about Trevor Penning though.
We will, but he's not on my draft board. And this kid though is big chubby guy, big belly, number 69, nothing on his sleeves, and the one bar down his face mask. The freaking one bar, like the old cage, like you used to see, like when I played football in little school, like we all used to fight, or middle school, like we used to fight over who got that face mask. The freaking full cage and the one bar going down the middle.
His name is Cole Strange, and he is from Chattanooga, Connor.
Chattanooga, hell yeah. That guy got a perfect first round grade. I told Joe that. He goes, "Did you see him block?" I was like, "Didn't need to. Saw everything I needed to see." He started cracking. I was like, the other guy, the kid from North Dakota State, Christian Watson. I remember his name because I was tweeting about him. 6'5", 208, just a big dude. Dane told me he runs fast, so that definitely is crosses off the Connor. And he's got, aside from a sick ass arm sleeve of tattoos, he's got a cool face mask, and he's got like on his legs like the straps that go around, like the single straps. He's a second round grade on the Connor chart though, because there's no visor. So
he's not a second round grade on the Brugler chart, I believe. I tried to find him. He's not in any mocks at this point.
Well, he will be. He'll be. I'll take him in the second round. I would. If he had a visor, if he had like a dark tinted visor, maybe an amber visor, you're talking about a guy that's probably, I would say, mid first round pick. But not having that kind of makes me question his decision and kind of drop him down. So yeah, there's now. I've always told people, like I actually wrote it in my story today. Like I tell you guys, I'm not a scout. I'm not. No, well now I am. I decided that after being at this Senior Bowl and seeing 2 practices, including one in torrential rain, I've decided that I am a scout now. And the Connor system is bulletproof. So you guys just watch that center. He's going to go on to be a 9-time Pro Bowler, and Watson. I don't know if he'll make that many Pro Bowlers because he doesn't have the visor, but he'll be a good player. He'll be in this league a long time. So I know everyone reads Dane and they subscribe for Dane, and there's the beast and all that stuff. There's going to be the animal that comes out from Connor, and it's just going to rank all these players based on what they look like. So I've already told Dane I'm coming for his job. I told Joe I'm probably, after I kind of take off here with the Connor system, I'm probably going to go for his job too. So everyone can kind of look out because, there's a new scout in town.
All right.
First question, serious stuff. Like now I'm alert and awake. So like now we can go, because I was a little worried when I first logged on here because I was dragging, and now I'm awake and I'm good. And maybe the coffee just immediately hit, but like we're good now. Like positive Kano. No, we're scouting now. We're scouting Kano.
Scouting Kano.
Scouting Kano. Just ready.
Let's talk about Penning. You mentioned him, and Dane had him ranked as his number 1 prospect at the Senior Bowl heading into Senior Bowl week. Obviously, a lot of players aren't at the Senior Bowl. Anybody who's not a senior, and others as well. But he had Penning as his number 1 guy to watch. Northern Iowa, offensive tackle, played different positions throughout the week. But from the videos you see on social media, the thing that stood out the most to me, Connor, about Trevor Penning, he just doesn't seem like a very nice person. He just, when he steps on the field, this guy has a mean streak.
Oh, he's a nasty SOB between the lines. I mean, that's and it's funny, like when you think about Joe Douglas and you want to draw up like his perfect prospect, I really believe it's this kid. Like I really genuinely believe that this is like Joe Douglas's perfect prospect, right? Because he wants and loves nasty mother effing offensive linemen, like just mean SOBs, like I said. And you watch any of these clips from this kid, like the professional clips now that have come out from the Senior Bowl, you see it. Like whether it's literally just taking defenders in one-on-one drills and throwing them to the ground. I mean, that's brute strength, that's physical ability, and to just throw them to the ground. And then after he throws them to the ground, to have that moxie to like not like get in their face and like throw your finger in there and like kind of be an asshole, but just to like stand over them and loom over them, like letting them know like you just got it and you're going to keep getting it. Like he does not say just standing over them, looming at him. And like when the defensive lineman maybe gets up and starts talking shit and like goes over to him, it's just turning around, just standing your ground, just staring at him. Like just a mean person. And like there were other times I was watching him because he stood out. I first popped, like the reason he first popped on me, because again, like I said, uniform, I mean, it's definitely knocking him on the Connor chart. So I immediately kind of crossed him off. But I did see during the practices, Joe sitting behind while other offensive linemen repped in, and he's standing there with him. And you see, obviously, Penning, I mean, the dude's big. He's like 6'7" or something like that. So you see him and you see Joe with him. So I'm like, oh, that's the only offensive lineman Joe's spending extra time with. Now I'm kind of curious what this guy's going to do. So I started watching him. First rep I see from him, he blocks a kid and just freaking drives him into the ground. And I'm like, holy crap, now I'm interested. Like now I'm intrigued. Like, let's keep like, wow, now we're like watching offensive linemen as like almost like to see what the guy does. A couple reps later, same exact thing. This time he kind of like pushes the lineman to the ground, but then gets his body on top of him and just drives him down, then gets up, gives him one last little nudge. I mean, the physicality, the athleticism, the size, that nastiness. I mean, that is all what the Jets want. You know what I mean? Like they like Becton, they like Fant. They like Moses. They do like they love Elijah Vera Tucker, but like what they really want is nastiness on that offensive line. Like they really want to add nasty. And you see the way that he plays, it's like, wow, that's it. Like that is what the Jets want. Then you add in his versatility. I've heard of like guards that can play center, right? And I've heard there are, tackles that can play guard because sometimes, they're undersized tackles and maybe they'll play tackle here at the Senior Bowl, but NFL executives look at them and they're like, you know what? He's probably more of a guard at the next level. Let's see how he looks there. Every time I looked up at this kid Penning, I'm not kidding you when I say he was playing something else. Like I was sitting there watching him like move around, and at one point I kept thinking there were two kids because he's from a small school. So I kept looking at him thinking there was another kid. Yeah, like another kid from Northern Iowa, because at one point I'm like, okay, there he is at right guard. I'm like, all right, there he is. I was like, wait a minute, now it's right tackle. I'm like, that's okay, maybe he wasn't playing right guard. Then the next thing I think he's at left tackle. Then he goes from left tackle to left guard. The only thing he didn't play was center. He literally played left tackle, right tackle. And it's like to the point where I thought it was a different player on the field until you see, oh, no, that's still number 70. So like the Jets, I mean, what does Joe tell us all the time? It's like versatility. This kid has that to the nth degree with his ability to play all over the line except for center. Then you add in his actual play style, and then you add in his ability, and you have the guy that is, in my opinion, like I said, Joe Douglas's creative player. Now, the only concern, or it's not a concern or a criticism that I would have with him, it's just my question, I would say, is like, okay, yeah, he's a player that the Jets are certainly going to be interested in, but when is the team going to be interested in him now? Like, when do you pick him? Because based off people that I've talked to down here and based off my own sourcing, because after that day, like I talked to people about him, and I don't think he's definitely not in the running at number 4. Like that's just not the case. I would be, based off what I've heard, very, very, very surprised if he's in play at number 10. I think the way that he performed here in Mobile, and I'm sure he'll have an even better pro day and things like that. And depending on how he runs and like his bench press and his, I mean, look, if he runs, I don't think he'll run something in the 4s. I got to do more sourcing and scouting on that one. But if he runs something in the low 5s at the NFL Combine, I genuinely do believe that like there's no way he's getting to the second round. Like right now, you could say like, okay, I think he's an option for the Jets at like that 35th pick. I don't think, based off what I've heard and what people project him to do at his pro day in the Combine, I don't think he's going to be available in the second round. So if you're the Jets, do you then look to trade back into the first round like they did to go get Elijah Vera Tucker last year? Like, do you look to package all those picks that they have, go up into the teens, maybe the 20s if he's still there, maybe like 14, 15-ish to get him? Do you look to go at number 10 and trade back a few selections? Now, the issue with trading back is that you do run the risk of like, okay, if I trade back 5 picks, he could go one before it. So usually when you trade up, you're trading up to a spot to say, okay, we're now comfortable with him being here. We want to pick him here. This is where he is. Let's go up and get him. So I tend to think that it would more be the Jets trading up to get him than it would be the Jets trading back to get him. But he is absolutely someone that I would there were several players down here in Mobile that I would keep an eye on, because I think that they were very close to Jets prospects and guys I think the Jets would be very interested in.
Yeah, Dane's last mock, he had Penning going number 17 to the Chargers. So that's exactly what you're just saying, in the middle of that first round. And after this week, maybe he does move up a little from there too on people's big boards.
Yeah.
You mentioned other players. Let's talk about tight ends, because there's a couple of there that both, depending on where the Jets want to go and depending on what they do in free agency, could make sense. One is Trey McBride out of Colorado State. He's like a borderline top of the second round type guy, one of the earliest ones is going to go. And then the other one, Jeremy Ruckert, he's kind of a little bit lower at this point. From what I've seen, it's more like late second round, maybe early third. What did you see from those two tight ends?
A lot. I think that they were obviously very, very, very good. I mean, there were plays. I watched McBride. I think Ruckert stood out a little bit more to me just because when I was really watching him the first day, he made several catches that were just like kind of impressive, because I wanted to see him run routes. I wanted to see the way that he caught the ball, because he really didn't catch. I mean, it wasn't his fault. It's the system that Ohio State runs. It was like 26 catches, 300 yards, and 4 touchdowns last year or something like that. But Ohio State just doesn't use the tight end in the passing game, so that's why his numbers hurt. But everyone that I talked to down there and everything I read going into this week was like, no, just keep an eye on him. Like the guy can play. It's not indicative of his numbers. And when we talked to Ron Middleton, who is serving as the Jets head coach for this week, we pulled him aside and I talked to him about it. And immediately when I said, I was like, Ruckert's a guy that I know a lot of scouts and coaches seem to love, and his eyes, his eyebrows, he was like went like this to the point where I thought his eyebrows were gonna like go off the top of his head. Like he was like, yeah, like we like that guy a lot, and like he spoke glowingly about him. He did speak glowingly about McBride, but with Ruckert, I remember there was a route that he ran on Tuesday. It was in one-on-one drills or something like that, where he like sprinted off the line forward, then he initiated contact, like where he engaged his body with the linebacker, I think, that was trying to cover him, linebacker or safety. He's a big SOB. So like, that's kind of a lot of man to be running at you. And he engages with him. And then he's like, so basically the defender now can't read him. Like the defender can't read which directions he's going to go. He gives him that little left and then immediately broke right. And he created like 3 yards of separation, easy completion, burst up the field. So that guy is obviously he's, technique. Every coach will tell you that, his technique can improve, and that's everything I heard. Oh, his technique can improve, He's a very good blocker right now. He's only going to get better in the NFL. Middleton told us how much he loves contact. Like that's like his thing. Like the guy just loves contact, whether it's in blocking or whether it's after he catches the ball. He loves contact, and he's a guy who's going to get better in blocking, but his skill set is there to catch. Like they're going to have to work on his route tree. The Jets are, if they were to draft him, they're going to have to fine tune his route tree, but he can run routes. He just needs to learn what routes to run, and his hands are good, and he's got speed to accelerate and separate and all that stuff. McBride, I think, is more of a polished player from what I've heard down here, is that he's more of the polished prospect when it comes to receiving. His big thing is just blocking. And so whenever I see a tight end, I'll be honest, anytime I see a tight end in college that has like the big reception, the big yardage number, I always immediately think of like Jason Morrow and be like, man, is this just going to be a guy that is basically a slow receiver that just dominated in college because he was, faster than all the linebackers, but bigger than all the corners. And when he gets to the NFL and suddenly the corners are a lot stronger and the linebackers are a lot faster, he's just going to fall off, And the one thing that Middleton did tell us is that, again, it's technique. He can improve in technique everywhere. But with him, he said he is a willing blocker. And when you're looking for tight ends, that's what you want to hear on the scouting report. You just want to hear willing blocker, because when it comes to blocking, so much of it is technique. I'm sure Michael can talk about that. Like obviously when you're on the offensive line level, it's a completely different story. But as a tight end, you just want willing, because if you're willing to block as a tight end, you can learn to block as a tight end, at least get to that competent good level. And then if you're there, you're going to be more than enough for an offense. And watching these two guys, it would not surprise me in the slightest if one of them ends up on the Jets. And the direction that I end up thinking the Jets are going to go here, because they realize that they played all of last season without an NFL caliber tight end. Like they played all of last season, whether it was Croft, Boa when he checked in towards the end of the year, Ryan Griffin. They traded Chris Herndon, rolled with the guys that they had, and they realized very quickly that they did not have a starting tight end on their roster. Like they were playing with tight ends, but it was a detriment. And I wrote this several times last year, that anytime one of those guys ran a pass route, you were basically on the field down a man. Like you were down a man. That's really what this was. But then you keep him in the block, and he couldn't do that either. So adding a tight end is a significant, big priority for Joe Douglas. He realizes it. The Jets are going to add a tight end this year. In my opinion, I think it's going to go after this week. I think it's going to be, you're going to sign one in free agency and you're going to draft one. I genuinely do believe it's going to be the double whammy there with tight end. And I know everyone's going to be like, oh my God, Ruckert and Schultz, or McBride and Schultz. That's going to be the best pairing in the world. If Schultz is there, he's going to be the Jets guy. They are going to, I genuinely believe they're going to pursue him. He will be the very first phone call they make. Based off the conversations I've had down here and the sourcing I've done down here, a lot of people have serious doubts that he's going to hit free agency. What I heard is that the Cowboys fully plan on either franchise tagging him or it's extending him before free agency. In fact, this year, I think you're probably going to see more players, because the financial situation of the NFL is now more understood. You're going to see a lot more players getting extended before free agency and a lot more players getting tagged before free agency compared to last year. And unfortunately for the Jets and anyone else looking for a tight end, I think that Schultz is probably, from what I heard, and this isn't my opinion, from what I heard, Schultz is probably getting that tag. He's either going to get tagged or re-signed. He's not going to be there in free agency. Now, I don't think that's the worst thing for the Jets, because now you can see, okay, you draft one and you pair one, because the one thing this free agent class will have is a lot of those low risk, potentially high reward players, guys that just didn't work out for their respective teams for whatever reason. David Njoku in Cleveland, OJ Howard with Tampa Bay, Evan Ingram with the Giants, who had a hell of a year a few years ago, Daniel Jones's rookie year, and then just kind of fell off. You can sign one of those guys on a 1-year flyer, pair him with Ruckert, pair him with McBride, and suddenly you got not just one tight end, you got 2 tight ends with some serious upside. One you're developing, one you're trying to jumpstart their career. And, maybe the pairing the Jets could go with would be Evan Ingram, who, see if the new scenery kind of helps him, see if the new coaching staff kind of helps him. You get his athleticism and speed and ability to stretch the field. I know he struggled with drops, but that's all concentration. You add him to this roster, and then you pair him with Ruckert to develop behind him, and you got a nice little 1-2 punch there. So I genuinely believe that the direction you're going to go is you're going to see the Jets sign one in free agency and then add one here in the draft. And if they add one in the draft, it's going to be a guy that was here.
All right, one more thing from the Senior Bowl before we move on to some other Jets content, and that is just in general the quarterback position. Everybody knew heading into this draft season, right, that this was not a heavy quarterback draft as far as top of the draft. There's quarterbacks to be had. There's first rounders, but second half of the first round, second round, third round, and that kind of thing. And this week, the 2 guys being featured down there, Kenny Pickett from Pitt, who had a huge season for Pitt, looks like a, typical kind of pocket passer, but he's athletic too. And then Malik Willis, the kid from Liberty, they don't play quite the schedule, although I witnessed him against Syracuse this year, which is not good competition, but he can do a lot of different things. Super athletic. But when you saw them, Connor, can you tell the difference, between these guys and a year ago when we had all the 5 quarterbacks go in the top 15?
No, and I'll be honest with you guys, like I said, I'm not. Aside from the new Connor system, which is in development, trademark though. I
so
did
Kenny Pickett
trademark
needs
the
a better
system.
face mask before.
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
Well, yeah, he does. And there's some work we got to do there. And the Connor system with quarterbacks, you got to be like really big. Like you got to be like 6'5", 6'6".
He's got some good hair. He's got some good hair.
See, that's a detriment to me. I think.
Really?
I cannot have a quarterback, which is why Justin Herbert's probably not going to the second round until the Connor system. Like, I'm sorry. I mean, look. I don't know, because like I can't have a guy spending that much time with his hair. Like I can't. And that's not like a hair thing. It's just like you can be watching film, you can be lifting, you can be throwing. And instead we're like Josh McCown, Sam Darnold, like those guys spent like an hour talking about hair products when they first got together. Like, you guys got to be in the film room.
Totally different. Their hair is like position. Like I feel like the long hair is like you don't really have to do much to it.
Nope. My quarterbacks need to be bald.
I don't know. Have you ever had long hair, Connor?
Yeah, we're not going to talk about it.
Ooh.
We're not going to talk about it. Like I said, the Connor system is based on past experience.
You've seen the picture, Marissa. You've seen the prom picture. Oh yes,
the
Connor
prom picture. We need to dig that back out for sure.
Yeah. So like the way that I can like compare this, and again, like NFL teams can't freaking evaluate quarterbacks, let alone like me. Like that's the wild thing. Is like no one knows when it comes to quarterbacks, but I will say that the Senior Bowl, the last one I went to, which was when Herbert was there, Jalen Hurts was there, Jordan Love was there. That was the last one I was there. And Love was obviously a significant draft pick. Herbert obviously is a star. And then Jalen Hurts has had some success. I remember watching those guys go through, and Love, I don't, to this day, years later, I don't remember anything about Love, right? Like I remember watching him go through drills, but I don't remember him standing out one way or another. Hurts, I remember watching him play and being like, yeah, he was good from like 5 to 10 yards, but every time they tried to make him like play quarterback, extend it, like the ball's hung in the air, the zip wasn't there. He really had to hitch and throw, where the other guys just like released the ball and it went. You could tell he was a ridiculous athlete, checked all the boxes, from a personality standpoint and a leadership standpoint, but the throwing of the football thing was not overly impressive. When it came to Herbert, though, I remember just watching him play catch to start, and then watching him in individual drills, and then watching him even go through the different drills that the coaches were running, like, run over the 5 bags that were laid down and then throw a pass. And the only way that I can describe him, I'm not going to go into like, how his arm angles looked and like all the specifics that Dane can give you and these people that don't use the Connor system can give you. But what I saw looking at him was different. Like this guy just looked different. And I don't mean different from just Hurts and Jordan Love and everyone else, every other quarterback that was down there in Mobile at the time, because he was very different from them. But he was different than any quarterback I'd seen, even with the Jets. And I know that's a very low bar. But like he was like watching him was like, okay, you could have taken all their numbers off. You could have just taken somebody that knows football but doesn't know anything about the NFL and put them there and said, watch this practice and tell me who's the top 5 pick. Like tell me who's the top 5 pick or projected to go top 5. And every single one of them would be like him, because he stood taller, he looked the part, the ball just flew out of his hand. I mean, he looked different. These quarterbacks I saw, I couldn't differentiate the Cincinnati kid from Pickett, from Strong. Like it was like some of them looked different, some of them did different things, but even just watching them drop back in their footwork, like it didn't look right. Like none of them looked overly accurate. None of them looked like that. There were moments where they made nice throws, but for me, I was looking at it like, ugh. I came away after the 2 practices and not one of them I was like, oh, I want to see him again. Like Zach Wilson, his first practice as a rookie minicamp, I wrote that I thought looked better than any of these guys, like any of them. And you know, I wrote this in today's notebook just off of kind of what I've heard at the Senior Bowl and things like that. But the Jets should be, and Jet fans should be counting their blessings and thanking whatever God they believe in, or if they don't believe in God, whatever they do believe in, you know, like just to thank yourselves, thank the Jets for drafting Zach Wilson last year. And I don't mean that in terms of Zach Wilson's going to turn into anything, because I don't know. The Jets don't know. I mean, that rookie season wasn't great, period. And there's a chance he pans out. There's a chance he does not pan out. But I'll tell you what, if the Jets made the decision not to draft Zach Wilson last year and they traded the number 2 pick, because that's what they were doing at number 2. They were either going to draft Zach Wilson or they were going to trade the pick for a bounty. If they said, let's roll it back with Sam Darnold and a new coaching staff and see what we can't do, and let's reset this thing with Sam Darnold and trade that pick, and they were going into now this year realizing, holy shit, Sam Darnold sucks, we now need a new quarterback, I don't know what you're doing. Because if you're forced to draft one of these quarterbacks, like I had a couple scouts and stuff compare this to like the Christian Ponder, Jake Locker year. Like I heard them comparing it to that draft class, like where that draft class was like historically bad with quarterbacks. Like that's what I've heard these guys like that's what I've heard about this draft. If you were forced to draft, like pick one of those quarterbacks, I don't know how you do that. You're basically now either running it back with Sam again, or what you're going to have to do is trade all of those picks that you just got for dealing number 2 to Seattle for an aging Russell Wilson. And it's like, damn, man, like again, you don't know how Zach's going to pan out, but the decision to draft a quarterback last year, not trade that pick, 100% the right call. 100% the right call. And Jet fans, honestly, when you, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I've certainly been wrong a lot before. You know, the Connor system only hits on like a 99.98% rate. But I would say that like these guys, I watching them, no one stood out. Hearing about them, no one stood out. If you're in the market for a quarterback this year, it's like you're just hoping that something clicks later down the road. Like, I mean, and like I said, we'll see what happens with Zach, but that trading that pick was not, from what I've seen now, that was not the call to make, and good for Joe Douglas for not making it.
Speaking real quick before we take a short break, speaking of the Connor system, how does the Zach Wilson headband fit into the Connor system? Would that have been positive or negative?
No,
that's
good.
Good.
Yeah, that's swag. Okay. Yeah, that's up there. The Zach Wilson system. Yeah, Zach. Look, Zach was where Zach went last year based on the Connor system. He's a no doubt a first round pick on the Connor system. I mean, he's got the tight arm sleeves. Like Sam wore those lames. He's got the tight arm sleeves, the number 1, the visor, the thing sticking out the end. I mean, he's a glove on his left hand from being like a Madden creative player. I mean, he's got the uniform down pat. He's got to learn now to play quarterback. Like the accuracy's got to get better. The not throwing interceptions got to get better. The pocket presence, learning how to step up and when you feel pressure, where to go, left or right. Like he's got to get better with all that shit. But from a he passed the test of the Connor grade. Absolutely. And like then like the Connor grade isn't also all about uniform. Like it's not all that's a major part of this. But he's also like there also has to be style points with it. And watching Zach's pro day where he can roll left and just fling and go, oh, that's 100%. He was a first round. He got a first round grade in the Connor system. 100%.
So I'm having a little bit of an issue with the Connor system, because I think you have to be, you have to stick to what you do for the past few years, right? So I pulled some receipts here. Let's go back to January 21st, 2020.
Oh, no.
Now, you did hit with Justin Herbert. I know nothing about evaluating college quarterbacks, but Oregon QB Justin Herbert has, quote, first round hair.
Well, see, this is the thing is, I
don't know how you can knock Kenny Pickett's hair when back in January 2020, you were calling Justin Herbert first round hair. And it's basically the same hair.
It is great hair. Like, that's the thing is you're misinterpreting it. Like, you're
I'm just saying you have to stick to the system if you're going to have a system.
But I wasn't grading him as a quarterback. I was just looking at his hair. Marissa, if you want to do a hair power rankings, we can. And I'll rank the power rankings. And if you want to just go on hair, Kenny Pickett's hair is up there. Like, that is absolutely, if we're just looking at hair.
But you said here, quote, I know nothing about evaluating college quarterbacks.
Yeah,
I think that was probably like the first day of the season.
Explain. All I can say is that, look, I mean, that was a long time ago. I mean, that was a very, very long time ago. I mean, we all change and evolve. And, like, you know, when scouting football is different now than it was 20 years ago, and the Connor system's different now than it was exactly a year ago. So, like, I mean, it's just, you kind of have to grow and evolve and learn these different things. And yeah, now that I'm taking a much more serious effort into evaluating quarterbacks and all, yeah, the hair is a problem. Damn it, this is a tough one, man. I feel like this is like the 16th presidential election right now.
This is like old takes exposed right there, Connor.
Yeah.
Right on your. I can't wait to just go down your Instagram the rest of the day. This was all I could pull super quick. Tim was ready to go to break. I said, "Do not go to break."
Don't go to break. Yeah. Marissa's gonna find a tweet from like 2011.
Yeah.
I was really looking for the prom hair, and then I stumbled upon that.
That's all. I think that's all on Facebook. I don't think it's on like my old Instagram. I think.
I do have the penguin saved somewhere.
We're going to let Connor get himself back together here with a short break. We'll be back with more on the Jets. We're going to talk about the quarterback room and Mekhi Becton, what the future holds for the big man after this.
It's 2022, which means football playoffs and basketball are in full swing. And for many of us, there's no better way to enjoy the games than by having some skin in the game, which is why BetMGM remains the exclusive betting partner of The Athletic. And as a fan of The Athletic, you can bet $10 to win $200 plus a free 1-year subscription or extension to your subscription with The Athletic when you bet with BetMGM using our promo code. Just sign up at BetMGM.com and use the promo code TheAthleticPod at checkout to take advantage of this special offer from the King of Sportsbooks. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions.
21 years of age or older to wager. Arizona, Colorado, Washington, D.C., Indiana, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, and West Virginia only. Excludes Michigan disassociated persons. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-522-4700 in Colorado, Washington, D.C., Nevada, Wyoming, and Virginia, 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help in Michigan, 1-800-GAMBLER in Maryland, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Call or text the Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789 in Tennessee or call 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana.
Miss the biggest headlines from the night before? Ever wonder how that might impact this week's bets? Relive the best in sports from the night before with BetMGM tonight, presented by BetMGM. You can listen to me, Connor, and Tim talk about our picks all you want, but you really should check out BetMGM tonight to hear the experts' opinions before you place your bets. BetMGM tonight is a high-energy, live destination for casual and hardcore sports fans alike. It's engaging, polarizing, relevant. Get caught up in all the sports betting world with a heavy dose of entertainment. Host Quentin Mayo from NBC Sports Washington and Ryan Horvat from 1250 AM The Fan and Trista Crick are joined by on-site correspondents to bring you insider information in real time. Every detail matters when making bets. BetMGM tonight dives deeper to help give you the edge. It's fun to bet on the game, and it's even more fun when you've got the inside scoop. Tune into BetMGM tonight, presented by BetMGM. Listen on Odyssey, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app.
All right, let's move away from Mobile, Alabama, and get right into the Jets stuff, including the quarterback room. Some changes this week. Connor, senior offensive assistant Matt Cavanaugh, he was on a 1-year deal. He will not return. They were happy with what he did, but they're kind of going in a different direction. John Beck will not be back as part of the Jets. He will continue to be Zach Wilson's private coach, though. So that kind of works it out because Zach can keep working out with him in the offseason. So he will not be back as well. And then Rob Calabrese, quarterback coach, taking on more responsibility. Is that fair to say? And then they're going to be hiring somebody new. So I guess just kind of wrap up what all these changes mean. And has this been kind of a plan all along?
Yeah. Real quick before we get there, because I just forgot to make this point on the other side. It's just real quick, is that I do wanted to say to Jet fans, like, the one thing you want to feel confident about is the staff that you guys have, because I heard several times down here from different people. I heard from another GM. I heard from another director of player personnel. I heard from a scout and 2 agents. To one point, like the last 3, when I heard it twice from 2 different people, then I started asking people about it. Like, did you hear this too? Did you think this too? And it was repeated over and over and over again. Saleh and his staff were praised relentlessly for the way in which they ran their practice, like the way that they conducted it, the way that they went through it. I mean, it was universal. And the comparison was to Dan Campbell's Lions practices. I mean, the one quote that I got was that, I never thought I'd say this, God, I wish the Jets ran both practices. And it was, if you look at it, I mean, the way that the Jets conducted this, and even though, it was handed over to, Calabrese was the offensive coordinator, and you had guys step in at the assistant positional coaches were really running the positional meetings, and the head positional coaches were now just kind of providing color commentary during those meetings. Like, despite all that, watching practice, it was no different than, I wrote about this in the notebook. If you guys want more, just significantly more details there, it's up on the Athletic now if you want to read about it. But, the way the Jets ran the practice was just like they would their training camp and just like they would their regular season. I mean, what they wanted to do was give these guys a simulated game week, and it was with their defensive scheme and their offensive scheme. It was watered down some because they didn't want to overwhelm these guys. They wanted to find that perfect balance of challenging them but not overwhelming them. I think they did that because they wanted to see how they could retain information. But this was Michael Flores's offense, and this was Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbricht's defense, and they gave it to those guys the way they would install the game week. So Monday in meetings was an install. Then you went Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of practice rep review. And then they have their day off Friday, and now game day is Saturday. So it was a simulated game week. From what the Jets held access on Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday was closed to the media. But on Tuesday, Wednesday, they held access during the practice. So I didn't personally get a chance to see Dan Campbell's practices. So I can't say like specifics, like, oh, they were doing this. This is why it was so bad. All I can tell you is that they were. I had one source tell me I was sitting there and I had no idea what the Lions were doing. One other guy said, he was like, sometimes you wonder why teams are bad. I don't wonder that about Detroit anymore. And it's like, holy hell. Like, so it was apparently like pretty rough over there. Like you couldn't make sense of what they were doing. And then you watched the Jets staff and the way the Jets conducted practice and the way the Jets did their business. And it was like, it was the perfect mix. I mean, it was an NFL practice preparing. So, there are bad teams in the league, and the Jets are a bad team in the league. But if you want a sign that you're headed in the right direction, and this is probably more of like a talent acquisition thing where they just need talented players, I think that's one of them. When you're receiving praise from so many different people in so many different avenues in so many different ways, I think that it's a good sign. I mean, you can feel comfortable and happy with the staff that the Jets have built here and the coaching staff the Jets have built here. Regarding that quarterback room, because I know people were bugging out and freaking out and all that shit about the quarterback room and all that. With Kavanaugh, it was always a 1-year thing. It was never going to be more than a year with him. The Robert Saleh is a first-year head coach, right? But there are so many people on this roster that are just very, very young. But aside from being very, 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 very young, they are very, very inexperienced. I mean, Michael Flohr, first time as an offensive coordinator. Rob Calabrese, first time as a quarterbacks coach. I mean, that's the case for so many others in so many different rooms. There's very little experience on this staff. So when what Greg Knapp was supposed to be was that like sounding board for everyone who has not been there, done that. You know what I mean? Like, he can provide that experience. He can keep the ship settled. He can help not only just develop the players, but he can help develop the other staff and the coaches there as well. When he tragically passed away, the Jets had to find that replacement, and Kavanaugh was that guy. It was a 1-year deal that he signed. His contract's going to expire and he won't get it back. But what he did last year was exactly that. Like, he was the sounding board. He was the veteran presence. He helped Rob Calabrese get ready to be a quarterback's coach. He helped Mike LaFleur in being an offensive coordinator. And now the Jets are ready to say, okay, thank you, Matt. Now we need to let our guys shine. So it's going to be just Mike LaFleur and Rob Calabrese. Those are going to be the two guys and the only two guys that are really talking and working with Zach. And then they're going to add a quality control coach who is going to be, kind of another developmental project. So when LaFleur theoretically gets his head coaching job and Rob Calabrese replaces him as the Jets offensive coordinator, this quality control coach then steps up as the quarterback's coach, and you create like this little lineage, the hopeful lineage and developmental process that the Jets are going to have in the quarterback room. That's what they're trying to do. They're not going to go add now another veteran coach. No, it's going to be Calabrese takes on a much larger role. Mike LaFleur takes on obviously the role that he's had, and then they're going to look to add a quality control coach. When it comes to Beck, and I know everyone was freaking bugging out over this, the reason why the Jets added him to their staff last year was not because they wanted to have him as their quarterback's coach. They didn't add him to their staff because they wanted him there every single day. They didn't view him as their long-term answer on this staff. They wanted to give him a behind-the-curtains look at their scheme. They didn't want him to have to do his own film study to help Zach. They didn't want Zach to have to tell him, this is what they're telling me to do. How do I get better? They saw this as a rare opportunity to take Zach's private quarterback coach, bring him in here and see what they specifically want in their scheme, what they specifically want Zach to do, what they think Zach struggles with that they want him to get better at. So now when John goes back to his private quarterback practice and Zach goes back to work out with him when he's on the West Coast, he now has a much better understanding of what the Jets want to do, what the Jets are trying to do, and what the Jets are looking for Zach Wilson to do, and he'll be better off aiding him. And that's exactly what they did. So he got that behind the curtains look, and now he went back. He's not going to be back on the staff. The Jets never wanted him to be back on the staff. They haven't completely closed the door, but from what I've heard, it's like, no, he's going back to his private practice. And I'll be honest with you guys. I know people were like, oh, why? Even if the Jets genuinely wanted him back, like even if the Jets were like, John, please come back and coach with us again, John Beck's not going to want to do that. Like, I don't think people realize how cushy of a job he has right now. That guy is getting so much money to just privately coach quarterbacks in California. He doesn't have to go into team meetings. He doesn't have to be up at 5 a.m. to be at the facility. He doesn't have to deal with the constant worry of getting fired by the owner and being ushered out and having to break down film after every single. No, he's out there on the West Coast training quarterbacks, getting $1 to $2 million a year. He's getting from what I heard, because I talked to another quarterbacks coach. I didn't see John down here. I talked to another quarterbacks coach, and I was like, he's got to be making a shit ton of money. He goes, you want to know how much he's making? I was like, sure, tell me. He goes, he's making between $1.5 and $2 million a year to just sit on the West Coast and train quarterbacks. And I was like, yeah, I would much rather do that than come make a couple $100,000 coaching the Jets, because quarterback coaches don't make millions of dollars. Offensive coordinators just crack into seven figures. Like positional coaches don't make that much money. Like, it's not like players. Like, they don't make that much money. So he's making triple what he would make with the Jets to just train quarterbacks with no worry of getting fired by a team. So no, he was never coming back. He didn't want to come back. The Jets didn't really want him back. They wanted to start their own lineage of their quarterback coach. They wanted to start their own thing, and that's exactly what they're going to do. I know there was like this like thing circulating online, because I had it DM'd and like tweeted to me that it was like, no. The Jets aren't saying they're hiring him now, so that way Zach can train with him in the offseason, and then he can come back in like September again, and then you get the best of both worlds. The NFL would nip that in the bud so goddamn quick. I talked to two people down here, but I was like, there's no merit to that. And I literally was laughed at. And he's like, that's quite the conspiracy theory, Connor. Like, no, that is not the case in any way, shape, or form. So no, that was never true. That was never the case. I don't know how it's a creativity A+, but no, that's not how the real world works here with the NFL.
Imagine he signed 9-year contracts every year, 9-month contracts every year with the Jets, and then just went back to in the summer.
Double dipping with money too.
All right. The other big news from the Jets this week was brought on by themselves. The comments by Saleh down in Mobile. You were there, Connor, talking about Mekhi Becton. He said, basically called him out. He said he has to come in and reassert himself into the starting lineup, basically saying that it is not his job, the left tackle position, that George Fant right now has kind of controlled that position after playing it all season. And Mekhi Becton is going to have to come in and win it back. And I guess win any position in that starting lineup back after playing part of one game in 2021. Obviously, this is a motivational tactic, but how real is it? I mean, do you think that Fant is the front runner to be the left tackle, depending on what they do in the draft?
I don't know. Am I still breaking up? I know I just saw your guys' messages here. I told you, like, hotel Wi-Fi stinks. I don't know how I'm doing here.
You're okay now. Yeah, it was a little rough earlier.
Yeah, you stay close. This is a shame. I like my answer to the last question. Hopefully you got enough of it. But I don't have this hotel. I'm in freaking Mobile, Alabama, man. Like I think it's like you're back in the fucking Jurassic period. Good food though. No, like Fant's right now the starting left tackle. Like that's what I've heard. Like George Fant is the starting left tackle, and Mekhi Becton has to earn his starting left tackle job back. The Jets really love Fant's upside. They believe that Fant has the chance to really be a very, very good player. They know that he hasn't played that much offensive line. So while he is 30 years old, he has the experience and snaps of like a 23-year-old. So he's still getting better, still getting improving. And they saw signs this year of the player's ability to be a legitimate big-time player. And considering what he did, the way he fights through injuries, his versatility, the way that he's a leader in that locker room. Remember, he was a captain last year. The way that guys look towards him for advice, Saleh loves him. Douglas loves him. Like they view this guy as like a real big-time player. And they're not just going to strip him of his starting left tackle job. They feel that he earned because Mekhi Becton's back. Mekhi Becton hasn't done anything to earn the starting left tackle job. He had an okay rookie year. He was okay as a rookie. He wasn't great. He had some highlight plays, but he was an okay left tackle as a rookie. He then showed up out of shape, got hurt, showed back even more out of shape, was absolutely awful, getting beat like a drum by Carl Lawson every single day throughout training camp, then gets hurt with a 6 to 8 week injury and never comes back. Like I can't say correctly. Like there are things I was talked to and know off the record that I can't say here. But like there's an annoyance within the building about Mekhi, and a get your shit together opinion, or we're gonna move on. Like not this year, they're not gonna cut him, but like this is year 3. This is year 3 for him. He needs to get it together, and if he doesn't get it together in year 3, the Jets are moving on from him. And they're looking for a new left tackle. And I'll be honest with you, based off what from my understanding, they're still looking at offensive tackles in this year's draft. And if they find one and they draft one in the first round, whether it's Penning or somebody else, there is a completely real situation where the player that they draft, maybe it's Evan Neal, maybe it's someone else, is your starting left tackle. Mekhi Becton and George Fant are competing for that right tackle spot. And if Fant beats him out, Mekhi Becton's not even starting for the Jets next year. Remember, he wasn't drafted by Robert Saleh. He was drafted by Adam Gase and Douglas. The new scheme, the new system, all that stuff, he has to prove himself over to this coaching staff. And this coaching staff, based off of how he's tried to prove himself, hasn't been overly impressed. So he needs to show up and get his job back, because right now it's not his. Like Saleh said, open competition. Yeah, it's an open competition. At times, like Mekhi can win the job, but it's not his job right now. The job is George Fant's. And then if Fant loses it, then Mekhi Becton's your starter. That's the way the Jets are going into this. And good for them. I mean, they're trying to send a message, and I don't think they sent it completely after the season. And Robert Saleh, I know, was kind of like, I wish I kind of said more. There's so many things to talk about on Baggy Day. We just didn't get to it. This was his opportunity to send a message to Mekhi. And if this doesn't light a fire under his ass, nothing will. Because you literally he was the walk-in starting left tackle as a rookie, walk-in starting left tackle in year 2, and now he's going into year 3, and they're saying, you got to earn it. I mean, he showed up out of shape to OTAs and hurt his foot. Like immediately. Big man out of shape, hurts his foot. Then he misses all of OTAs and minicamp, shows up to training camp because he was injured, is now more out of shape. Gets his ass beat every single day in training camp, finally gets back into shape towards like when the regular season is about to begin, then gets hurt, and then never comes back in 6 to 8 weeks. Like 6 to 8 week injury, and he sat out he never even returned to practice. He never did individual drills. The only thing I ever saw him do was in the rehab area was like light sprints and high knees. That's it. And it was painful to watch. Like, it was painful to watch that.
Do you want to demonstrate
for
the audience?
No,
I'm sorry.
No, because I got like my shoes yet, but like
they won't be able to see you on your bed.
I'm keeping my Joe Burrow finger guns up there because he hasn't lost since I put that one up there, and that'd be a juicy money line to hit. But like with Becton, it's like, okay, now it's go time. Like, I know he hired his personal trainer. From what I understand, like when he was told this all during his exit meetings, he took it well. Like, he's like 100%, let's go. I'm ready. 100%. I'm going to come back in the best shape. But like, there's a difference between saying and doing. He's always had a great attitude. Like, he's not that kind of a person. Like, he's not like you have any worries about his attitude. Like, he's a bubbly person. Everyone likes him in the building as far as the person, but the player now needs to get better. The player needs to match that. And he hasn't to this point, and the Jets put him on notice. And that was absolutely what this was. They put him on notice, and now it's how you're going to respond. Like, they want to know that, like, they wanted him to know that everyone in the world isn't just handing stuff to big ticket anymore. Like, I think that Becton, I know that when that rookie season happened and Becton was getting all that attention from Brian Baldinger with the clips and like the highlights and all that stuff, like it inflated his ego a little bit. I mean, he got this opinion of like, I've made it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in Pro Bowl contention. I'm good. I got this. And now the Jets are like, no, you need to be brought down a peg. You haven't accomplished anything. And George now has. He showed him with him. People show they flow with him. He's our starting left tackle. You need to go take it from him. And it's going to be, look, if Makai plays better in camp, it'll be his job. But first day of OTAs, it's going to be Fan at left tackle. I'm curious who's going to be at right. That's what I'm curious about. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be one of the fun things to watch once we get to training camp. All right, the fun thing to watch in a week is obviously the Super Bowl. And believe it or not, our picks competition is coming down to the Super Bowl for the second straight year. Last year, you may remember, Tom Brady delivered me the crown of our picks for the year competition. I am out of it this year, deep, way back. But Marissa is 30-27 on the season. Connor, 29-27-1. A half game separating them. We'll make sure they pick different teams. We're not going to make a pick right now because we
need to blindly submit them to Tim. This is
blind
no like
submission.
Connor gets to see my pick. No.
Maybe a Twitter poll is needed here.
Yeah, no, we both submit them to Tim, and then Tim reveals on Twitter.
Well, last week I told Marissa, I just bet opposite Marissa. I was like, I needed to close the gap, so I was like, whatever Marissa picks, I'll just take the opposite, and it worked.
Yeah, but I don't think that's fair, and I think the chat would totally agree with me that that's not fair.
They're gonna agree with you because they like you more than me. That's why they're gonna agree with you. That's
both. I think it's both things actually.
Like when we used to do, like that's why before a certain thing happened, we used to do when there would be debates in the media room about like things that we had to do. We would always. When someone would be angry about the things not going his way, we always used to say, let's just put it to a vote. Just put it to a vote. And I don't care what that vote was. No one was voting on his side. So it was like, it didn't matter. It could have been like, yeah, take our lunch for less than an hour. We were voting on the other angle. So yeah, that's, I know
like,
that's
I love how it's like he who shall not be named, right? When you tell these stories,
I don't feel like getting,
cracks me up.
Yeah, I don't feel like getting sued.
Yeah, we'll blame it on the bad Wi-Fi. So yeah, I believe that we should blindly submit our picks to Tim Saturday night before Super Bowl Sunday, and may the best woman or man win.
Actually, it probably has to be. It's going to be Friday, so that I can make up the slate for Twitter and not have to do it on a Saturday.
Okay, Friday. Friday of next week, Connor. Game theory, mess with my head, see what I'm gonna pick. I don't know. You won't know.
I can't do that because then I'll fuck with my own head. Like I think I know what I'm doing. I think I already texted my pick, but I think I know what I'm gonna do.
Okay, we shall see.
All right, that's
gonna do it for this. What Marissa's doing. I just look what Shield's doing. That's what she does. Follow Shield.
Very funny. Yep. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm doing yet. So
Marissa's on my shit list anyway because I show up to this Senior Bowl and I'm walking up to the interview with Bo. And I'm like, oh man, how you doing? Like blah blah blah. Like walking up, you play any golf? Yeah. I was like, how do you fucking Marissa? I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I was like, it's freaking her, isn't it? And I was like, dude, no, I haven't had a chance. The only day that I did actually have a chance was Thursday because they moved practice inside because it was supposed to torrential downpour. Like there was like 100% chance of rain for this freaking thing. So I was like, oh shit, like 100% chance of rain. Like there's no way. So they moved practice inside. So like I had something to do with the Jets at 9:30 in the morning. So 9:30 ends at 10. And like 10 ends, and I'm like, I go outside. Like I walk back to my car to go get breakfast. I'm like, it's freaking warm. I was like, it's like 70 degrees. I'm like, looking up. I was like, it looks like it's about to rain, but there's no rain in the sky. So I take out my phone, check the forecast, and I see it, and it's like 100% chance of rain still. I was like, ah, damn. I was like, I don't have anything else until 4 o'clock right now. I was like, I got now the rest of the day until 4. Well, like, let's go do something. Like, I'm gonna go play golf. And I was like, nope, 100% chance of rain, not worth it. We did not get a drop of rain until 9 p.m. I was like, I could have freaking played. So the golf clothes that were sitting, and I didn't bring my clubs obviously because I knew all of the shit that was happening. But I could have just rented clothes and at least got a round out in 70-degree weather. Said I'm gonna come back. What's it like in Jersey? So we got a foot of freaking snow still on the ground.
No, it's raining. The snow is melting away because it is raining here. So I would like all the snow to get out of the system before my wedding at the end of the month. So
let's
get this known
when
out.
and where is your wedding again?
You're not revealing that on this show. Okay. Tim, let's close this out.
Oh, you would have quite a few people in the chat. No, the stand is anyone attest to the marriage. Marissa married me. Well, first time, long time.
We're actually getting our marriage license this afternoon. So yeah, very exciting things.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. That's going to do it for this. Congratulations on the certificate.
Thanks.
Looking forward to the real deal. That'll do it for this episode of Can't Wait. We're off next week. We are back the week after that, I believe. Is that the right schedule, Marissa?
Yes.
Okay. We'll talk to you again then. Thanks for tuning in to Can't Wait.